Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. And today, it's your breakfast bankroll for Saturday, May 7th, 2022. As the weekend is in full gear, it's Kentucky Derby Day. Plenty of races leading up to the Run for the Roses. I don't know, 6:30, 6:45 Eastern. Somewhere around there. Um, if you weren't watching or listening yesterday morning, the bankroll started around 11:40 and concluded around 12:15, and we had Sean Alvarez from Smooth Turn on Twitter breaking down the races. You can go to our YouTube or Twitch channels at East Coast Sports Investors and catch exactly where he sees what potentially could happen on hopefully not a sloppy track, but Mother Nature controls that one, obviously. For the ECSI VIPs last night, I want to just say something. I talked to Scotty yesterday. We talked about it on the show. I have said this at length. The kid in the candy store, Friday payday, fade the public, and really try to hammer in Mother Nature versus baseball and the start, the stops, the creatures of habit that the pitchers are. And you know, just because you're staring at lines, just because they're 8, 9, 10 hours away or even an hour away, just because there's 5,000 people on social media giving out picks doesn't mean we have to do anything. Last night was a perfect example where I talked on the bankroll and I talked on the closing bell with Scott. My eyes couldn't have been sharper in the NHL. I said the Bruins are going to win. There was no question in my mind. I wasn't going to pay the tax. I said, from what my eyes are telling me in the board, the Leafs were the play. They got out 2-0 box to wire. Didn't look back. And I said the same about the Wild. I says, I think they were trying to attract St. Louis Blue money. Did the VIPs get those games? No. Did anyone that listened in the morning and the evening get those games? Yeah. I told you where I liked. I told you what my eyes saw. I also told everyone, pump the brakes on the bases. There was a couple games that was still pending whether they were going to go or not. So we sent out an alert around, I don't know, 7 o'clock, 7:30 last night, maybe 8 o'clock. We had the Rays plus 115 against the Mariners. Now, I have all these Gilbert futures. I think Scotty can help me out on this one. There hasn't been a more dominant pitcher in the American League, or he's right up there than Mr. Gilbert. The R word had to come sooner or later. And, it was a battle back and forth that I lasted. The Rays take the lead again going into the eighth. And then, of course, Mr. Kellenick batting 139. I mean, Manny beats us twice. And then Kellenick comes up off the bench, cold as ice, batting 139. It's a 2-run homer. I said I'd seen enough. I rolled over. Well, woke up this morning and found ourselves in the winner's circle. Rays score 3 in the ninth, and they give up 1 in the ninth, and then they hold on for a win. So the VIPs are plus 275 for the week as we get ready for the weekend here. I will have an alert out at some point today on the bases. There's one game that absolutely is blowing my mind, and it's in the Pucks again, but we'll get to that. So let's bring him in. My man, my partner, one that keeps me off the bridge most of the time, but let's bring him in anyways. Mr. Scott E. Webb.
Bring him in anyways, like you can be on the bridge and I don't go out and help you jump off and keep you from jumping.
What's going on, Scotty?
It's a Saturday rainstorm in Tampa, Florida. Of course, that was 45 minutes and it's gone. So it's bright and sunny out right now, but it's supposed to rain again. It was one of those thunder boomer ones, man. We were just shaking the house, the thunderstorms. Haven't had one of those for a little while, so that was pretty fun. Dogs didn't like it very well, but other than that, it was all right. And a couple of things I just want to start off the show with today is, we talked about weather yesterday, but that was more or less because of start and stops and rain and so forth today. But looking at what I'm looking at, there are probably two games. New York Mets and Philadelphia. It's got 85% chance of precipitation in that one, and Kansas City, Baltimore, 80% chance of rain. So those two are possible rain delays, possible weather rainouts type games. But there are 1, 2, 3. Well, let's just do it this way. There are several games today, and I guess maybe it's just because of the way the weather pattern is or whatever. But 15 plus mile an hour winds. So I'm way more concerned a lot of times about the wind and the direction of the wind than I am about certain other things. And it's an interesting way to look at things today. San Francisco's got 19-mile-an-hour winds, blowing out, by the way. Not that matters in that ballpark, but it does make a difference, and it does make a difference. In like Chicago, that 16-mile-an-hour wind they got going on there is blowing straight in. So that's why the number says, I think it's 6.5 for the total in Chicago with Smiley on the mound.
And I'm looking because of the rain, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati doubleheader, Dodgers, Cubs doubleheader. And it looks like Toronto, Cleveland will be playing a doubleheader. Now, back last year, especially, those were the 7 innings, get them in, get them out. They're not like that nowadays. They're back to the full 9 innings or however long it takes there. But looking at the board, just nothing is, glaring. Nothing pops out. I think that there are a couple numbers that there are some statements, but just going over some of the records here before we dive into the board today. Again, you can't beat up Cincinnati enough. Starting the year 3-22, the first 25. I would have to check the history books. I mean, I have to say that's going to rank top 5 in the all-time worst starts in Major League history. I assume someone did worse, but I think you'd have to go way, way back. But I'm not here to pile on there. Everyone wants to, anoint the Dodgers. They're loaded. We know they're loaded, and they got Kershaw, who's been a great story today, this year. 16-7. Okay, the Miracle Mets, 19-9. But I said this yesterday. I'm saying it again. The Brewers out of nowhere, 19-8. And then looking down, Houston quietly at 16-11. The same with the Blue Jays at 16-11. The Angels, who you and I were both on spring training, preseason, whatever you want to call, right now sitting at 18-10. Now let's go to the negative side. Teams that we expected a little more from. I'm going to say hats off, and not in a bad way. I mean, Baltimore's 10-18. I hats off. The Red Sox 10-17. They can't hit. I stayed off of Eovaldi first 5, minus the hook. Thank God I did. Again, they can't hit right now. Never mind their back end can't pitch, so that's for another day. Minnesota quietly 16-11. The Padres 18-9. And what makes this so special is, again, they're in all-in mode. We know they got arms. We know that at the break they'll make a move if they have to. They're doing this without Tatis. Now, some said it was going to be a 3-month. He's eligible to come off, I think, June 5th. That's 2 months. I'm hearing the cast is coming off pretty damn soon, or is already off, one or the other. So I think with this hot start, he's got to be chomping at the bit there. The Cardinals 16-10. I'm going to go disappointing here. Phillies 11-15. Again, back end issues there, which were never addressed. Scotty, thoughts on, we're a month in. We're a month in, actually, 2 days in. What do you say?
I think there's some teams that need to straighten some stuff out. I think the Phillies are one of them, but I was never high on the Phillies. You and I talked about the Phillies a lot and the lineup that they can put out there, which is pretty deep. At the same time that it's pretty deep, it's not that deep. There's some teams out there that can hit 1 through 9, and this team can hit maybe one, maybe depending on who bats leadoff, but usually 2 through 4. 2, 3, 4 guys, the 3 guys that they got. Because I don't know how everybody feels about Rhys Hoskins, but I think he's the most overrated star player that team has. I mean, I think he's batting 175 with 2 home runs or something. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't like the Phillies construction. What I'm surprised at with the Phillies more than anything is that team can pitch. They've got Nola in the front with Wheeler, and those are 2 guys that can pitch. They've got Gibson, who's been a very serviceable veteran, good starting pitcher, and Ranger Suarez, who they converted from a bullpen guy to a starting pitcher, did really well last year, has got off to a slower start this year. And they got Eflin as a number 5. And if he's your number 5, that's not terrible. So I like what they've done as a pitching staff on the front end. And then you're going to tell me that they got Castellanos and they got Harper and they got Schwarber and they got the a good catcher and they got all this other stuff. And they can't win games. There's a problem there, and I think the problem is that the construction of the other guys is not good enough. You got to get guys on base in front of those guys. We talked yesterday. I don't know if we talked about it on the show or if it was on after the show, but we talked about poor Juan Soto. Of course, I can't ever say poor because those guys got $75 million bazillion dollars, but he's got 6 home runs and 7 RBIs. What? How can you do that? How can you have 6 home runs and 7 RBIs? Well, it's because nobody gets on in front of him. They put the guys on behind him to try to protect him, and they're not going to protect him. I mean, they don't got nobody that can protect this guy. They need to get guys on in front of him so that he can produce. Because what's going to happen, and you look at it from that perspective, Juan Soto is one of the best players in all of baseball. So you get him down and you get him to starting to vote and look at who's going to be the MVP, and he has a great season. What if the guy hits? What if the guy hits? I don't know. Let's say he hits 35 home runs. And he has, 45 RBIs. What the hell is that? And then you're going to end up with other guys that have, 35 home runs and 90 RBIs. So you're not going to get a guy that's going to be a 45 RBI guy that's going to be able to be an MVP of the league. So they better do something in that. And I know that was an extreme thing, but at the same time, it's kind of trending that way for him. I would tell you that I'm sort of proud of the 2 things that I was looking at the beginning of the season that were the top-notch things for me. One of them was, 3 of them really. One of them was the Marlins. I thought the Marlins over that number was going to be a good number. I still believe it's going to be a good number. Those guys are pitching like they can pitch, man. I just wish they could hit, and I know they did some things to get some hitters down there, but they still don't got them. So they need to work on the hitting, and that team's going to be pretty good. In fact, that team could beat the Phillies out if they would just address a couple of things to help Chaz Chisholm and those guys out down there. So that's number 1. Number 2, I like what the Angels have done. I like what Syndergaard shows for that team. I think they've got a lot of starter depth, and they're they might be the only team. They're running not a 5-man rotation. They're running a 6-man rotation. And I mean, 6 starters. And it's funny because some of these teams keep throwing out bullpen guy after bullpen guy after bullpen guy and can't get 2 guys to go out there and start games. And they got 6. So I think that says a lot about their plan and their strategy. and I think that it's working, and I think that, when have we talked about Rendon having a great job since he's come over to the Angels? I don't think we have, and this team's hitting because they got Walsh and guys like Marsh and people you never heard of, but those
Ward,
Walsh, all those guys are doing great. So I like where they sit. And the other one I was going to say was San Diego. That division for whatever reason has I can't rem I just I copied a tweet and sent it out or however you say that. I retweeted somebody's tweet. I think it's been I don't know, like 5-6 years before since there's been a division like this where every single division in baseball was, I mean, not saying 500 or above. They were over 500. And with that win last night, that's what happened to the National League West. There's not one team under 500. And when you start to think about that, you look at a team like Milwaukee and we said, oh my God, where do they come from? And, all these wins that they just had, you want to know where they came from? So that their run started on April the 17th. They started winning all these games, and that the one game they beat St. Louis. Okay, well that's a pretty good team. So then they went and they beat Pittsburgh how many times? 1, 2, 3. 3 straight times they beat Pittsburgh. Then they beat Philadelphia 2 out of 3, and you know what's going on with them. And then they went and beat Pittsburgh again 3 straight times. And then they went and beat the Chicago Cubs 2 out of 3. And then they beat the Cincinnati Reds 3 out of 3. So who in the hell have they even played? Well, that's not their fault.
No one.
That's not their fault. But then they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And yesterday they actually played someone. Of course, they didn't get a good pitcher yesterday. But that's going to change today. This is going to be a hell of a fun game today.
No doubt. I'm going to bring the board up. I'll give everyone the quick eye test before Scotty breaks it down, and then I break it down. There are some good matchups again today. Here, I'm going to scroll up at the top. The 2 NBA games. Celtics and Milwaukee after they haven't played since Tuesday, 1-1 in that series. The actual real opening line I want to say is I saw Bucks -3 in a few spots. They're showing 2.5. It opens down to 1.5. Crunching the numbers, Vegas has this Milwaukee 108, Celtics 105. The VIPs are tied up with the Celtics plus 130 in the series. We got that after game 1 loss. I expect a hard-fought game here. I don't think there's any reason for us to get into that game. I mean, I sarcastically said last Sunday that the Bucks win by double digits and then the Celtics win the next 4. I think this is a more pivotal game for the Bucks. I think they got to, don't lose 2 in a row, defend home, get that 2-1 lead, and put the Celtics in more desperation whenever that next game is there. Memphis at Golden State, that is tied at 1-1. Memphis opened at 6.5, now 7. Intriguing, I expect Golden State to win there. It's a tough number at a 7 spot. Not a real good feel right now on that one. In bases, some good matchups. Again, 1 second here. The mouse wants to play games. Looking at numbers itself, the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati number hasn't moved. We talked about Vegas kind of baiting you. They were kind of telling you Cincinnati was the play yesterday. Listen, I'm not going to get involved in Cincinnati. Let them win a few games. I'm not burying them, and I haven't been playing against them, so we're just going to sit far away there. I mean, Kershaw, obviously, I've been waiting for him to blow up. You're paying a big tax there. Even if you wanted to go -0.5 run first 5, you're paying too big of a tax there for me. Max versus Gibson, again, opened at 125, guys. It's been already steamed to 151, or corrected, I should say, to 151. I think the actual value here is with the Phillies. Again, though, you cannot play the Phillies in this regard. I'm only going to play Phillies in the first 5. Why the hell would I try to go against Mac's first 5? It makes 0 sense. There's the Pittsburgh Cincinnati game too. St. Louis San Fran. What kind of again? I talked about St. Louis. I thought was in a decent spot yesterday. They rallied back and forth there. Anyone that had St. Louis first 5 was doing cartwheels as they get 2 runs in the top of the 5th. But the Giants said not so fast, and they tied it there. But it was a good game. I actually kind of surprised at the. Okay, San Fran showing an open Wager Talk showing an opening number of 150. I'd like to know where they got that number. That absolutely there was no 150s anywhere. But that's where I would have liked to see an actual respect for the Giants to bounce back with one of their aces on the mound. Not a big Mats fan, but I see the value in San Fran, but I'm not going to go there. Burns and Fried is probably the matchup of the day. Grab some popcorn, grab some Cracker Jacks, enjoy that game. No reason for me to get involved in that game. Freeland on the road is not the same as Freeland at home, and there's the pesky Arizona D-backs there. Listen, absolutely Miami is the value play, the play, whatever you want to say today with Lopez versus Minaya. I can't get in there. Miami just can't get it done right now. They're in a funk. As much as I like Lopez today, I'm not going to go in. They're just not hitting, and San Diego is winning, so I'm going to stay away from there. I think a Minnesota first 5 is the play there. It depends upon the tax that you'll have to pay there. Scotty's probably all over this one. Listen, the Sox are just not doing anything right now. Pavetta is not that good, but he can get you some innings. Cease has been lights out. I think I would imagine Scotty's game score for his last game was off the charts. I mean, obviously, White Sox full game, White Sox first 5 with the eye test is the way to go there. Stripling versus Sticks. Sticks got kind of robbed his last game out. Stripling's been better. He actually has been pitching pretty good for Toronto there. I like the Rays again with Rasmussen. I'm not a big Gonzalez guy there. Don't know. The Rays have been good to us the first 2 games. I don't know if I'd want to tiptoe maybe in a first 5 there. Haven't decided. Washington and the Angels. I think the Angels are actually overpriced today, but I'm not going to get involved there. Dodgers second game, and Gosman and Bieber is the second best matchup. Again, you're going to have to pay a price for Gosman, who I think Scotty will correct me. He's got like 28 strikeouts this year or some crazy number, and I don't think he's walked anyone yet. But here's the game that sticks out to me, guys, the most. Okay, and we're tied up in the series with this. Okay, we had the Penguins opened up minus 130 in the series. In some spots, 125 when you guys saw it, and the world's on the Rangers. The Rangers closed as the favorite. The Penguins win the first game in triple overtime. Game 2, I think the Rangers closed at minus 150, 155, and then they steamrolled the Penguins. Now they have a day off and they go to Pittsburgh 1-1. And the Rangers opened up minus 125. And I've reached out to a few colleagues like saying, guys, what am I missing here? The only thing I can tell anyone that wants to listen is Vegas has made a statement. They got the Rangers winning today, and they're begging for Penguins money. So if you're looking for a 7 o'clock play, if you want to sit and wait, fine. But the Rangers minus 115, pure eye test is exactly where to go there. The other hockey games, big favorites. Road favorites, Colorado minus 223 after they steamrolled Nashville. Florida bounced back there minus 185 and Calgary minus 165. But enough from me. The board's yours, Scott.
So you asked me a question. I think it was about American League pitchers and where do they rank and where does Gilbert fall into the line with that? As of right now, you got Gosman and Cease are the best 2 pitchers in the American League. Skubal and Gilbert and Frankie Montas are all right in there, kind of behind that. combined with Verlander, Ryan, Manoah, and Bieber. So that's kind of where they are. I mean, Gilbert's right up there, but
Well, if you took Gilbert's line out from last night, I think he was 1 or 2.
yeah, he would have been right up there. I mean, he didn't have the greatest of nights last night, but that doesn't. I mean, he's still got, he's still pitching really well. I mean, he's got 4 wins, no losses, 33 innings pitched. No flaws really for that matter. He's got a 1.6 earned run average, for God's sakes. There's no issues with Gilbert at this point. I mean, every pitcher has setbacks. So it's not like they can all go out there and go, oh, I want to start 32 games and there's 32 wins. That don't happen, for God's sakes. So he's got no issues. I looked at that White Sox game and I'm like, holy shit, we got a great pitcher going against somebody who's going to get beat the shit out of. And I looked and I go, holy Christ, he got a game score 90 last time out. I am not betting on him today because holy crap, he's going to get bombed. So I am purposefully steering away from the White Sox and Cease today because he got a game score 90s last time out. And the time before that was a 66. And then the time before that was a 30-something. So that's kind of how it works. Those guys get 2-3 great starts, and then all of a sudden, blammo, they get hit. And then 2-3 great starts, and then blammo, they get hit again. So I'm good with the idea that I don't have to go out and pay. I don't have to pay for a road favorite in a bad spot here. I mean, how soon is Boston going to turn things around? I don't know. Maybe they won't. But at the same time that I say maybe they won't, they got some guys that can hit, and at some point in time they're going to. And Cease is a pretty tough guy to hit off of right now, but that doesn't mean he didn't wake up with a crick in his neck today, and he can't throw 95 miles an hour today. So I'm just going to stay off of that one. So I really wanted to figure out how to get into that Dodger game today because I think the Dodgers blow out the Cubs in the first game, but I'm not paying. I think it's -1. So these numbers. So the first 5 innings, -140, right? So that's if you wanted to play on the money line to take the Dodgers, and I'm not going to play that. So then you look at it and you go, okay, well, maybe I played on the run line -1.5. It's -136. You can get the -1.5 for the run line at -136, and the first 5 innings is -140. So it's actually cheaper to take the full game. And then I'm like, well, maybe I'll do that. So then I go look, and the wind's blowing in 16, 17, 18 miles an hour. So that means this game's going to be like, I don't know, 3-1, 3-2. So I'm not even going to risk that. That's not I was okay yesterday risking the 1.5 on a home team, and I didn't win, but I was risking the 1.5 on the home team with Houston yesterday because they can hit. And because they can hit and get the opportunities, and they had opportunities yesterday, they just didn't convert to cover that number. And I didn't think it was going to be that big a deal. I knew Detroit wasn't going to score a lot, but I thought Houston would capitalize better, and they just didn't. So this case, okay, the Dodgers go out and they do whatever they can do, but with the way the wind blows and stuff, and that takes away the power edge. And if you're going to take away the power edge, then that's where you can score multiple runs. And if you're going to have to cover a 1.5 number, you need to get multiple runs. That doesn't mean you're not going to get 5 or 6 hits in an inning and score 3 or 4 runs, but I'm just going to stay off of that one. So then the Yankee game got rained out. This Oakland, Minnesota game is a little interesting because Caprillion now will be making his second start. He was injured and missed a lot of the spring. Now, his first start, I think he only threw like 1 inning, 2 innings, something like that. But he got bombed. So I would expect him to pitch a little bit better today, but I'm not. That's no guarantee because because you got beat up in the first time out. Well, if you only threw 2 innings, that's not very good. So, and he's going to face a team that's red hot hitting wise. So I don't like his chances real well. But then you got Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray's only made 2 starts because he got hurt. He's only pitched 7 innings. So I'm not sure where this is going to go, other than this might turn into a bullpen game. And I still think Minnesota's got the edge in the bullpen, and they're obviously hitting way better than where Oakland is. So if I'm playing this game, I would be on the Minnesota side somehow, some way. I would figure out how to get into it. But if you play it first five, you might not have either one of these guys make 5 innings. So you might have a bullpen game within the first 5 innings. So that changes that philosophy for me. I mean, if I'm doing first 5 inning game, I'm betting on that starting pitcher. And in this case, you wouldn't be betting on the starting pitcher because they might not make it that far. So I'm not sure how you would want to get into that one. The next game I actually played on my board, this is Toronto and Cleveland. This is Gausman and Bieber. And I'm expecting a pitcher's battle here. I'm expecting Gausman and Bieber to be really good. And I know the number's 6.5, and I don't care. I think it's going to be like a 2-1 game, a 3-2 game, a 3-0 game, whatever, something like that. Both of these teams have great bullpens, and these two are just dynamite pitchers. And what kind of drew me in here is the edge for power is going to be on the Toronto side, right? You know, they got the big home run hitters. But if you look at where the weather is in this particular game, you've got where is that? You've got 18, 19 mile an hour winds blowing in from right center field. Okay, so that means balls that are hit to left aren't going to go very far either because they get turned away and they get turned into foul balls. So I like the idea here that this game could be one of those games that turn into a 2-1, 3-1. Plus, it's 57, 55 degrees out there. I like this one to go under, so I bet it at under 6.5 in this game. Going to the next game, we got Detroit and Houston. Rodriguez is getting a bad rap here in a lot of ways. He didn't start the season real well. He's pitched better his last couple starts, but I don't like him trying to fix everything against Houston. Houston's coming into their own a little bit. They're still not, scoring double-digit runs a game. But I like the idea that he's turning the corner for Detroit. That doesn't mean that he's the right guy to play today, but I like the idea that don't think of him as a pitcher that's going to go out there and get bombed every time he goes out and starts. He's a good pitcher. Valdez is a good pitcher too, and I like Houston. I like Houston in this game. I just can't figure out how to get into it, and I'm not going to get into that game. I don't want to play. I don't want to play it the way I did yesterday. Because you got better pitching matchup for Detroit today. This Scherzer and Gibson game, I'm just going to tell you, if you want to play the Mets, you're good to go today. As far as I'm concerned, I know Jeff said he liked the Philly side looking at it, but here's what I'm looking at. Max Scherzer threw a game score 42 the last time he pitched, and the last time he pitched against Philadelphia, he threw a game score 49. So this is going to be one of those spots where Max, who's a game score 64 on the season, has a really big spot to bounce back and run up some good numbers. That doesn't mean that Gibson's not going to throw well.
I think where I was kind of saying is the fact that the opening or the overnight number was 125, the corrected number at 151. So again, where my eyes flock to is listen.
Yeah. No, you got to figure out how to get in the game, right? I mean, what I'm saying is just, hey, look, he's going to pitch good. So if you like him, you go ahead and bet him. Just figure out how to do it.
Yeah, no. But my thoughts is Max minus 125. If that was your opening number, there'd be a line from here to the Bronx waiting to play Max minus 125.
That's a pretty damn long line, man, because you're in Boston. So I do think if you can figure out how you want to play that game, go ahead and play that one for that way. I talked about the Cease and Pavetta matchup, and I like Sticks today, but I'm going to tell you, he threw a game score 74. He's a game score 60 on the season. He's got good stuff. He just can't figure out how to win games. That's all. Sticks is McKenzie for Cleveland, by the way. His nickname is Sticks. That's why they call him that. If you ever seen him, he's got a little torso and really long legs, so that's why they call him Sticks. Anyway, you got Keller and Duggar in the second game. Cincinnati. This Duggar guy, he pitched last year for Cincinnati. He had a game score 39 for all the games that he started. That's not very good, and I'm not impressed with him. And for whatever reason, and I haven't figured it out yet, I got to dig deeper. But Keller was one of my guys that I thought was going to come out of spring training and start doing some better things. It's not that he's not throwing the ball. His xFIP number is 3.48 and his Sierra is 3.58, so that's pretty good. But he hasn't been what I thought he was going to be. They were comparing him to Garrett Cole coming out of spring training because he had gained velocity, and he's throwing 96, 97 miles an hour, and he's got the stuff. So maybe he's like I don't know, trying to figure out how to use the stuff because it's just now starting to take a little bit of form. But if you're going to play, you want to play Pittsburgh in the second game, not the first game. This Lyles guy is unbelievable to me because he was a steadfast go against guy for Baltimore all the time. No problems. You just line him up. No, he's going to get bombed. Well, he hasn't pitched too terribly bad. I mean, he's an average pitcher, but he's had his good starts and he's pitched well against Kansas City in the past. And Baltimore's been one of those teams that, they fight hard. And we talked about Cincinnati not having any fight in them. And in this Baltimore team, they fight hard for you got to beat that team because they don't beat themselves. And it's not necessarily the hardest thing to beat Baltimore, but you still got to beat them. So I like the idea here that Baltimore is probably the better side. I did play the St. Louis San Francisco game, Jeff. I am on Webb at minus 126, 125. I like the idea that he's coming off a poor start. He's the better pitcher between him and Matz. He doesn't walk guys, and of course he doesn't strike guys out either. He relies on his defense. But he's a big ground ball guy, 61% ground balls and big wind going out. That takes away and neutralizes some of the power edge that maybe St. Louis has. And I think, they've seen Matz quite often. Matz is off a game score 71. So that tells me that he's not going to pitch quite as well today. So I like San Francisco on that side. And then I actually took the next game. This is Milwaukee and Atlanta. And we're talking about Milwaukee and how hot they are and all that stuff. And okay, they've beaten nobodies. Well, they're going to face a pitcher today that they need to beat. And I'm just going to say this, Burns was the best pitcher in baseball last year. And he got off to a bad start where he had where is he? He had one bad start at the beginning of the season. And now he's putting everything back together again. And he hasn't had a bad start since then. And he's a guy that can string together a whole bunch of good starts. His game score for the season is 68 after he having a bad start at the beginning. There's not many, if any, pitchers that are as good as that. And Fried, as good as Fried has been, he's a game score 61. I'm going to take the idea that I can get Burns at a pick'em because I don't think the rest of the year you're going to get Burns at a pick'em. So I'm going to take Burns at a pick'em and to see if I can capitalize on that number. This is more a play about, okay, the Brewers are hot and Atlanta's not. And you can get Burns probably at the cheapest price you're going to have him for the rest of the year. I'm going to stay off Colorado and Arizona. Both those pitchers had good performances last time out. Both of them shouldn't do as well this time out. Arizona's been hitting the ball a little better than what Colorado has. If I was going to take a choice, I'd swing with Arizona. And, man, I love Lopez. I like Lopez in Miami, Jeff, better than any of the other guys, all of them. You can line them all up, Alcantara and Rogers and whoever the heck else the other guy I'm missing is, but he's the best one, and he's going to pitch good today. He's off a game score of 40. I just can't keep backing the team when they face a good pitcher, because if they face a good pitcher, they're not going to score any runs. And they got Mania on the mound today for San Diego, and Mania is going to pitch pretty well. So Miami's never seen him before. So I kind of like the idea here that that's not going to be a very big scoring game, and somehow, some way, Miami's not going to win. And then you look at the next game. I don't know. Does anybody know who Josiah Gray is for Washington? I mean, do you know where they got him from? He's part of the Trey Turner stuff. He's a Dodger, and he's supposed to have been, I can't remember his name right now. That big redheaded kid that was pitches for the Dodgers that's hurt.
May.
Yeah, he's supposed to be as good as him, and he was supposed to be the next one of those guys, and they traded him so they could get Trey Turner. And he had a little bit of a rough start at the beginning. He throws like 96 miles an hour. He throws real hard, but he's starting to take some turns here. He's turned into Washington's best pitcher that they have already. That's because Corbin's like fell off the earth. So this guy's pretty good. Now he's in a bad matchup and probably will be in bad matchups most of the time. But I'm not going to play this game. Washington's been hitting the ball pretty well, and now the Angels got to see a guy that's actually pretty tough. And then I'm going to stay completely off this Tampa Bay game today. I got a push on the game yesterday. I played first 5 innings on the money line with Gilbert. I played, I think it was 125 or whatever it was, and I thought we thought they scored the runs to get it done in the bottom of the 4th, and of course, the Rays, they have to kick my ass and score 1 in the top of the inning and tie the game. But I wasn't on the run line, so I got my money back. And then, well, I like Rasmussen and I don't like Gonzalez. And Seattle's like 28th hitting right now, so they're not hitting the ball. But where I run into the biggest troubles is these metrics don't do Gonzalez much justice ever, and he always looks like he's going to get bombed. And one of these days he turns out and he strikes out everybody.
I also have to give you hats off because I was cursing for a while because we had the Rays full game. That was our only play last night. Went against Gilbert, which I didn't like to do, but you made a note on the show last night, and I take my hat off to you because you said exactly what was going to happen. And happen is we got 2 innings from the starter, and in comes Fleming, and bing, bang, boom. And I tell you what, Mariners had a big opportunity to blow that game open, and he got out of it. And but you were spot on with Fleming.
Yeah, there's something with that guy. It's not that he doesn't throw. I don't want to call him a soft tosser that throws 85 miles an hour, 80, because he doesn't. He throws 90, 91, 92. So to me, with the Rays pitchers that they got, he's a soft tosser. But that being said, there's some issues going on there. Fleming a year ago was a very reliable guy that could give you 4 or 5 innings, kind of a middle relief guy, come in behind a starter like what he's doing now. And give you a solid 6-7 innings between him and the opener. But he's getting hit, and I think a lot of it has more to do with he's walking people. He puts guys on base now, and he didn't do that before. And then that gets him in trouble. And then once you're in trouble, it's shit. You gotta work your butt off to get out of it.
All right, good analysis as always. You can find Scotty at Webby20 MLB. Ask him ask any questions on his timeline. Pull him aside in any direct messages. Ask about our Discord channel. You can talk to us, and maybe we can see if we can sneak you on. If you like to talk baseball. It's funny. We debuted it a few weeks ago, and the buzz was buzzing, and people jumping in and out, and that's what makes a Discord channel. And the funny thing is, life gets busy. Baseball is sometimes boring, and you can hear crickets lots of times now. Hats off to Mr. Lucky and a few others in there that try to keep it going. TJ is always asking a lot of good questions. He had a couple. Hey, by the way, TJ, I gave you back-to-back home run props earlier this week with Soto one day, and then we snuck in. I think it was Castellanos the next day at plus 400. By the way, so.
Oh! Hey, Jeff, I forgot. I got four strikeout props. You want them?
Tell the world.
All plus money because I don't do props in the negative minus favorite money world. Kevin Gausman today over 6.5 plus 115. Logan Webb over 4.5 plus 105. Freeland over 4.5 plus 125. And Lopez, the guy we just talked about, over 5.5 plus 110.
I like that.
Sorry, I forgot.
Again, quickly for me, the Celtics line just went to 2 all across the Vegas Strip. Again, I think Bucks opened at 3. I gave you a final score of 108, 105. That's what Vegas is telling me right now. I'm staying away. I'll take our plus 130 money and hope the Celtics get up 2-1, where you got basically a free swing on the Bucks in Game 4 there if you want it. Nothing right now on Memphis Golden State. In the MLB, quickly, I do with Scotty Lean Webb here. I'm not a Mats guy, so that game looks intriguing to me. Burns Fried, I'm going to counter what you said with when you're going to get a price like that on Burns. And at DraftKings, he's minus 115. I'm going to counter that and say, when are you going to get Max Fried at home? Minus 105.
Well, I can tell you that you'll probably get that when he faces Scherzer and Nola and some of these other guys, because he's like a second tier guy as opposed to the top tier guy. Burns and Scherzer and those guys, those are the top tier guys. Fried is just under those guys. So it's possible that you're going to get him as a dog again.
Well, I'm just sprinkling the home field effect too. Again, I'm not comparing
no question
to Burns or Scherzer, but and you're right, you don't get Burns at this kind of price. As I am wired, I'd respect Burns more this morning if last night he was minus 120 or 125, and they really wanted the Atlanta money. So that's a hell of a matchup. I'm just grabbing some popcorn. I too love Lopez today, but I just can't get in there. Sorry, Craig Mish. You guys got to give me a little something there. I'm not going into there. The Minnesota first 5, yes, is intriguing. Oakland is struggling. They can't hit. But what are we going to get from Gray? So I'm not sure there. I mean, C sticks out like a sore thumb, but I have to tell everyone this. Pavetta opened up minus 115, which is alarming to me. I don't. Yeah. The correction is to Dylan Cease. And I'll tell you where this game reminds me of. Last Marathon Monday, Giolito was pitching on Monday, and the whole world was on Giolito, and the Sox, there's no way the Red Sox were hitting him. I don't think Giolito made it to the 3rd inning, and the Sox just pounded him. So keep an eye on the Red Sox today. Keep an eye on Cease in regression today. Yeah, I said it. Keep an eye on that. Let's see here. Nothing. Again, Tampa's been good to us the last 2 days. I don't know if I want to tiptoe in their first 5. We've been fortunate to win some. They got out 4-0 and held on Thursday. Last night they played some serve and volleys and almost gave the game away. I don't know how far I want to trust this team if I dive back in there. Gausman, Bieber, listen, I'm a big Bieber fan. We're invested him in the fantasy world. If you ask the average person, the absolute value is grabbing Bieber at plus 128 at home. I mean, let's be realistic here. But Vegas is telling you Toronto is the right side. I'm not going to pay the tax, though. I'm not giving out minus 140 there. So now you got to get creative. Are you going to go in first 5 minus the hook? Well, what happens if it's 0-0 or 1-1 after 5? Okay, the under over for that game is 6 and a hook. So you're dancing with the devil. So then you can say, okay, well, I'm guaranteed 27 outs. So let's play them minus a run and a half. You're going to get 9 innings, right? Well, the under over again is 6 and a half. So you're looking at 4-2. What happens if it's 3-2? So it's a tough number. It's a popcorn pizza Cracker Jack game. And again, guys, the one game that's just blowing my mind right now, if you take anything from me and Scott today, 51 minutes in as we get ready to wrap up. The New York Rangers in hockey opened up minus 125. They are now minus 110. You know, it's a 7 o'clock start. If you're not a hockey guy, fine. If you are a hockey guy, just some pizza and beer money on the Rangers tonight. I have Penguin series price right now. I can tell you this, I'll be on the Rangers tonight. That's where I'll leave that. So it's been a great Saturday morning. It's Kentucky Derby Day. We will be around all day and night. I'm going to say this right now. Hold on. This mouse is not working. There we go. I think as for shows tomorrow, we will be dark. It is Mother's Day, and it's my daughter's graduation up at UConn at Stores. I'm not going to just force a show in. So what I'm going to tell everyone, this is enjoy Mother's Day. For me, my mom's not here. She passed several years ago. Tough day for me, but, take your moms out if they're still alive. Give them a big hug from us. If not, say a few prayers, smile, and be happy for your wife and your kids, and have a good day there. Closing thoughts, Scott.
I think that this is the first week of May. This is got to be a time for moving and shaking a little bit in Major League Baseball. Some of these teams that are 8 games back need to get their butt moving, especially if they're supposed to be a contender. And I think that some of these other teams have to figure out where they are and what they need, because come June, July, they're going to need to go get what they need and then figure it out from there. We got some impactful things getting ready to happen in some of these teams. We talked about Tatis and some of these guys coming back that are going to come out and jump out on the field and help some of these teams. So these aren't finished products, but at the same time, I think we can have a little bit of an idea of where we're going with these teams. And I think that we get a good sense of what's getting ready to happen for playoffs. And now it's just going to be a matter of how we get down there. I mean, it's amazing that we're into, May 7th, and we got one division in baseball all over 500. It's awesome.
Morning, Marty. Happy Saturday. Hope all is well in Bama land. Roll Tide. For us here at ECSI, we're up almost 3 units. We're going to be careful today. Take our shots. There will be a Kentucky Derby alert out. We're going to put out what Sean talked about with an exacta box and maybe a couple try keys, and people can do it. It's a race. Again, it's like an amateur night out. I always call New Year's Eve amateur night out, and it's like the Super Bowl where everyone in the world's got to get in. People come knocking on your door. Hey, I want to get in. How do I get in? And the Kentucky Derby is the race. So a lot of people tend to get over their skis, and our friend Bill Krakenberg said it best today again on Twitter. Guys, have fun with this race, but don't overextend yourself. And for us here in the VIPs, we're sitting in a beautiful spot where Envelope Monday is less than 48 hours away. I'm not going to piss away 3 units into the Kentucky Derby just to grind out another week and get ready for the following Monday. So we're going to get some stuff out there to you. It's been an amazing week here, and it's only going to get better. We've had some amazing guests. Our weekly trip across the border, obviously, with Andrew McGinnis of Wager Talk, Bernie Fratto from Fox Sports Radio, Jeffrey Benson Hamilton from Circa, the sportsbook operations manager. Yesterday we closed out with Sean Alvarez, who is making the tour, and I'm so proud of this kid. This week, been on VEASAN, was on our show, was on Bostonian versus the Book, and a couple other shows. Sean Alvarez, hats off. I told you a star is born there. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB, we wish everyone a blessed day, weekend. Happy Mother's Day if I don't see and talk to everyone here. Have a great weekend. And remember, it's not about us, it's about everyone else. So if you are wagering today, please do it responsibly. If you do have a problem, pick up that phone. There's an 800 number available. Ask for help. Why? Myself and Scotty care. We do. We give a shit. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest. From Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. Let's have a day. And we will see you next week.